remember, if you are impacted by this hurricane, this tropical storm, or if you've been impacted by any of the previous ones, just remember the following guidelines when you're dealing with your insurance claim. Document everything. Create sort of an insurance claim packet, right? Because you're going to have to refer to these documents. Document everything. If you haven't already called in your claim, remember, you should call in your claim as soon as you realize that you have suffered damage to your property, and be ready to explain to the insurance company a few things. You want to tell them who discovered the damage. You want to let them know how you discovered the damage. If you have any idea about the cause of the damage, let them know at that time as well. And you also want to be able to tell them when you discovered the damage. So here's an example. Let's say you had to evacuate, right, from your home before one of the hurricanes that we had this season. So you weren't able to get back to your home for 5 days, right? So obviously you have no idea what the damage is like. You don't know if your house was actually impacted until you get back. So you have a 5-day delay in the discovery, right? So you want to call in your claim immediately, but you want to also let them know, I just discovered the damage. I was out of town. That is why I didn't know that something had happened to my home. It's very important because your insurance policy does require that you let them know as soon as possible. They refer to it as, some of them say reasonable, but if you end up having to sue them, they're going to rely heavily on that and say that you delayed in your notice and therefore you're in breach. Just make sure that you're making them document when you discovered it, when you called. They do know when you called, but you should also know when you called and why there was a delay, if there was a delay. Sometimes people delay 6 months, noticing for 6 months, and that's okay. Just explain and be ready to explain why. Maybe I don't hang out on my roof, right? So you didn't know that there was roof damage until you noticed a water stain in your ceiling, and that's when you finally sent someone up there. That's okay. Just make sure you know why there was a delay, right? And document it. Keep track of when you noticed it, right? Especially if it's at 6 months. Like, why did you wait 6 months? Oh, because I had no idea there was damage up there. I've had some clients who, they didn't realize they had damage until they noticed a lot of the people in their neighborhood were getting their roofs replaced. And they were like, let me go and talk to one of these roofers and ask them to come and inspect my roof. And that's when they realized that they had shingles missing and what have you. It's okay. Just remember what happened, and the best way to remember it is to just keep notes about it. Keep notes of every person you speak to at the insurance carrier, when the conversation took place, what their name is. If they have a title, write it down, and also just a summary of the substance of the conversation. And you want to also keep track of conversations you have with different contractors that you're going to have come to your home. Pictures, pictures, pictures. The insurance company may not come out to your home before you have your repairs done, especially if you have immediate stuff, emergency work done, right? So you want to take pictures before you have the repairs done, and you should do that anyway for your own records. Like, this is what my house looked like when I returned from my evacuation, or these are pictures of the roof when the guy went up there and took before pictures. Now, you don't have to go on your roof. Usually the roofers will also take pictures while they're up there, and they're going to send them to you, but just make sure you follow up if you don't get those, because you're going to need them. And if you have immediate emergency services, which again, this is something that you must do. Let's say you have flooding, which is pretty normal with hurricanes, right? You have flooding, which means you have water intrusion. Flooding is not going to be included in your hurricane coverage, so that's a whole other issue. But you're going to have emergency services. Your insurance policy requires that you mitigate damages. What does that mean? That means you keep the damages as low as possible. So how do you do that? Again, water intrusion, right? So you're going to have, if you leave that water and you don't dry it out, you're going to have a mold situation, which now is going to exacerbate the damage that you've incurred. So what you do is you're going to call an emergency mediation company out, and emergency mold remediation, and they're going to come out and they're going to do a dry out. It's called a dry out service. So they're going to put these huge fans up, and they're going to put them up for a couple of days most likely. Keep track of, first of all, how many fans and whatever other machinery they bring. Keep track of it. You can just take pictures, Also keep a detailed log of how long those fans were there, how many days, how many hours, how many workers were on site, and take pictures. And then when they're done, take pictures again. Then you're going to, most likely, I don't think you want to live with holes in your wall, so you're most likely going to have the reno done. If the insurance company still hasn't come out, take pictures before the reno is started and after the reno is complete, because the insurance company needs to know, well, was the work actually needed? And so the only way to show whether the work was needed is by having photos of the work before it's done and after it's done. So that's my spiel. I hope everyone's staying safe out there. If you are in Florida and you filed an insurance claim and the company has either denied, delayed, or underpaid your claim, Genesis Law PA. On Instagram, I'm Genesis Law Firm, and on Facebook, I'm Genesis Law PA. Also, feel free to just shoot me an email. It's adh@genesislawpa.com.